today we'll be talking about Marine 2002, which is a game from Yaquinto Publications in 1979. It's a game of the first Lunar War. The box art is excellent. It gives you a real sense of it. And it's just one of their big, flat boxes, trays inside. It's like 11 by 14 inches and inch and a half thick. It says 1/2 kilometer per hex, 5 minutes per turn. 2 to 6 players, 1 to 4 hours. I give it a complexity level of 2, which it's right in the mid-range there, so that's probably about right. Marine 2002 is a tactical level simulation of combat on or near the surface of the moon. The futuristic weapons use neutron warheads, rocket shells, lasers, charged particle beams, and conventional shells are playably duplicated with a system that faithfully shows their strengths and weaknesses. And I'll show how that works. The game includes rules that cover ground and air movement for all units, combat with beamed weapons, and a battlefield which is limited only by a horizon, which varies with the current altitude of engaged units. Other rules easily account for communication and command control, morale, individual casualties, cumulative vehicle damage, orbiting weapons, platforms, and much more. So the components. So there's the rule book, 24 pages. Pretty typical of Yaquinto, some detail there. It's not completely linear how they go through and describe it, but they give some good examples. Then I always like the Yaquinto trays. It's interesting, their trays come in different colors and you don't really know which color you're going to get in these games. This one's yellow, obviously, but sometimes they're black, or I think red too. Good mix of counters. Of course, I always like the Yaquinto dice. They're nice and big and heavy, so that's always a good thing. These are range indicators, because the distance between targets is important in this. And then a mix of counters. It's hard to find counters that look better than these. And they're nice, they're nice, the nice thick Yaquinto ones, and they have the colors that jump out from the black background. These are American units, and these are, the Soviet units, back when, that was a thing. And then these are there's building units, and there's some counters for morale and craters, etc. Excellent counters. And then the other items, here's the combat results table against Marines and vehicles, effectiveness of weapons, which would be used in the combat results table. So two copies of those. It's a 2-player game. You can do it solitaire. The game is set up in squads, platoons and squads. So this tells you how many are lost in a squad, and then there's also vehicle damage. For the squad, what is interesting, how they do that. There's some there's 2 soldiers in a squad, but most are 4. So the way they do it is when you get damage from the damage table, you just replace the counter. So to show the strength, like this, there's all 4 in the squad, you lose 1, you go into 3 in the squad. Which is really nice because it is captured right on the board and you don't have to check boxes in the sheet for the infantry. You do for damage to vehicles, but not for infantry. So there's 2 of these, one for the U.S. Marine Corps and then one for the Soviet heroes. And they're pretty similar. There's a little bit of difference in the command levels of the Soviets. And then there's the turn record track. Capture damage on vehicles. You have this damage sheet where you check off the boxes of damage. And there's a pad of those. There's the Americans, the Marines, which are blue, and the orange, which are the Soviet menace. So it's pretty symmetrical. The units are the same between the two. There's additional command units in the Soviets, kind of showing how they, I guess, have more of a centralized command structure. But they're pretty simple. Otherwise, they're the same. Thinking that I guess they both have similar technology, which it seems realistic, I guess. So there's the laser units, and as I said, they based on the how many are in the squad. So this would be a full squad of 4. 3 left, 2 left, 1 left. This is the the platoon squad designation. This is the strength, and a lot of it's based on the modes. Ground mode, normal mode, fire mode, and air mode, and those are different movement and firing modes that we'll talk about. The laser infantry, charged particle infantry, assault, mortars, the command company, and then command of a platoon. So, and similarly for the Soviets, as I said, they have different designators for like the higher command structure for them, but the types of units are the same. So those are the individual units, and then there's a variety of vehicles: a mobile battery, a mobile battery laser, a mobile battery cannon, a sled, a bus, a dragonfly, which is like an armored vehicle, and a fixed battery. So some of these are used in the optional rule, and some are advanced. The individual units are used in the the basic game, and the others. The mobile battery, rockets, lasers, and cannons are used in advance, as is the fixed battery, and the sled, bus, and dragonfly are used in the optional rules. And this is a marker that shows that basically the direction of how you're indicating your mode. There's different buildings to make it interesting too. There's spaceports, mining facilities, and just general buildings. And then with certain types of detonating weapons, there's a crater, and that's an advanced. And then there's also, in the advanced rules, you can look at the morale of your troops, which is interesting. They can be suppressed, retreat, or routed. Move in combat, they can seek full cover, they can kick up smoke for defensive purposes, and this would show like impact of weapons. It's an excellent map as well. It obviously is the lunar surface, and it's nice that it's shades of brown instead of gray, because gray is kind of a stereotype. But actually, when Apollo landed there, they saw that it was shades of brown. So it's a card. It's not really thick cardstock, but it's durable enough. So it comes in 3 sections, folded, and you fold them out. So the 3 sections are they're marked A, B, and C. For different scenarios, you can put them in different orders to get a different setup. There's the board itself, which is, I think, very well done. There's stars in the center, so when you do range, you put them in the stars between the different where you are and where you're going to figure out the range. There's craters, and then there's these dark brown areas, which are the most broken or rugged, and they affect combat. And then there's the medium brown, which have a less effect on combat, and then the light brown don't affect combat. So there are various levels of roughness of terrain. In addition to that, they have these nice, they call them geomorphic. They can move around on the board to get different terrain. Gives it some 3D effect, and it gives you different replayability. It would affect like your line of sight. So it gives it a lot of replayability just having these different terrain features on the board. I think it's very well done. It gives a lot of replayability. The version I have, so the game is from 1979, and mine is from the second printing of 1980, it says in the rules. So I don't know if there's a difference between the first and second printings as far as the rules. Scenarios, there's several. For the different scenarios, you set up a map board a certain way, do terrain a certain way, and then counter selection and placement. So the random scenarios, and so the players agree on the points of the forces, the total points that they have, and then on the back cover is the point values of the different ones. And this is how you would determine your mix of forces for the random. And then they have more specific scenarios. I won't go into detail of these specific scenarios, but there's a lot of them, and they all have kind of different flavors. Some are, you see different orientations, they have different mixes of units, And there's different scenarios, like the Russians are trying, or the Soviets are trying to, evacuate off the board, and the Americans are trying to defeat them before they do, and the victory conditions are based on how many, each side can get off, etc. And the one side or the other comes on the board on an unknown side or a random side. Some are more optional rules, some are more advanced. So I'll do setup here. The scenario I'm doing is scenario 4 from the advanced game rules, and it's shown on page 22. So the configuration, as you've seen here, B and A are put in the order. C is, flipped over, as shown as here. And there's 7 train counters. We put 7 of them on the board in kind of random locations. So the order of battle, the USA has 3rd, 4th, and 5th platoons, 3 mortars, and 1 mobile battery. Soviet Union has 2 mobile battery rockets, 4 mobile battery lasers in the 1st and 2nd platoons. And then for the entry up, USA puts their units anywhere. Soviet Union starts on map edge A. Special rules: the Russian player must exit off of the map board through map board edge B. The Russian player must set up 1/2 of his units before the American places all of his units. Victory conditions: normal point values for enemy units eliminated. Russian player receives 1/4 point value for units that exit off the map board by turn 5. Game length is 8 turns. So here's the board setup as described in the rules, and showing here also, this is the company organization sheet where I've currently taken obviously all the full strength units and put them on the board, and then as they get damaged, I'll replace them with the ones with lower strength. But I just wanted to show that the U.S. forces can go anywhere on the board. I decided to keep the different platoons together. So this is the 4th platoon. I have the laser squads, the CPG squad, the commander, and then I put a mortar with them as well. For the 3rd platoon, I put the laser squads, CPG squads, the commander squad, the commander group, and the mortar. So just kind of keep it symmetrical. And then the platoon 5, which is a headquarters platoon, is put in the center, similar to the others. They also have a mobile battery cannon, so that's how I have them set up, just because they're going to be trying to prevent the Soviets from going off the board, so they're kind of evenly distributed. And then the Soviets, I just have them coming out on the top, and their first platoon here, 2nd platoon there, including lasers, CPG, commander, lasers, CPG, commander, 2 mobile battery rockets, 1 here and 1 there, 4 mobile battery lasers, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there. I'm just keeping it symmetrical, but that's the setup. And also, as far as the 7 train counters, I have 1 here, here, and there. And then I indicate the mode direction here. Right now I just have them all in ground mode. Then we'll get into play. So I'm in the middle of the 3rd turn here, and I'll show you where things are at in the game sequence. So there's a player that has movement initiative, and then you alternate the platoons. So in this turn I've done, this is the 300 platoon, 400, 500. So I've done the 300 already, and then I still have to do the 400 and 500. And for an example, I'll go through the 400. But where everything is right now, these Soviet units want to get off the board, and the American units are trying to stop them. There's been pretty heavy casualties. Several of the units are down to 2 and some even 1 compared to the 4 in the squad. So there's a command unit and then 2 mobile lasers and a mobile rocket. This unit it lost 2 units in one hit. So I rolled a morale check and it went into retreat. So it's moving off the board at a rate of 4 hexes per turn unless it makes a morale check. So that's how the morale comes. Pretty heavy here too. Some are down 2 or 1 units here as well. And there's a mortar, a CPG, and a command unit here. So in the middle I have the headquarters platoon. They're just kind of staying around here. And the Soviets are kind of coming down the 2 sides, and the Americans are trying to block off the whole area. So then, I said, in the middle of turn 3, the Americans won the initiative, so their 300 platoon went, and then the 100 platoon went, and then the opposite platoon went, which in this case is the 200. And now we'll do the Americans will go here, and then followed by the platoon here, which happens to be the 200 platoon. The steps are movement initiative, and then we do the moving player phase, where first you do rally attempts to, this one is suppressed. So to do a rally attempt, basically it's to see if better situation. So you consult this chart, and it's suppressed, so there's a 0 to add to it. 7. That's a success, is now not suppressed, so that was good. And then we do the mode adjustment. So one thing I'm going to do here is the mortar can do indirect fire, but he needs a spotter to see his target. So I'm going to send this one up to air mode, and again, you put the mode to where the arrow is. So he's going to go in the air mode. If he's in air mode, he can see 20 hexes, which is plenty. This one will go in normal mode. You can see 12. They're within 12. So what these 3 are going to do, they're going to combine their fire at that mobile laser, and then the command unit will he'll stay in ground, and so will the mortar, and they will be able to see them from the spotter. So none of them are in maximum fire mode, and then moving the unit. In end mode they can move 4. And they're just going to move a little bit to stay in range. Actually, he's in air mode. He has to be seen by the command unit, which is a spotter, and he has to see those, so he'll stay there so the command unit can see him, because the command unit allows the mortar to use the spotter. He'll go up here to combine fire 2. They get in medium range if they're within 10 hexes, so let's see here. So that's good, if they all move up that far. And then similarly for the Soviets done. Let's stay in ground mode, but he's going to move up. He's going to fire some missiles. They go normal mode, they'll move from 4. They're kind of in the open area, so they can't really use the terrain effects. I'll just put him here, because if he gets attacked, you take a 10 off the die roll, since he's in a medium, but all these others are kind of in the open, so you can't really do those benefits. So I moved, and then there's the indirect fire. Keep track on these sheets of how many missiles the mortar fires. Some mortars are down here. They have 6 missiles, and they're gonna fire 1. So first you put the target down, and he's got the spotter there, so he can see. You can see in there, so he's gonna go at that guy. So this will be simultaneous. And then they have a mobile rocket here, and he can fire up to 6, and he's gonna fire 4 of them at these guys. And keep track of that. You go to the the R1 here. Just mark them off. So he's going to fire 4 missiles. And he's going to try to hit each of these guys. So it's, like I said, simultaneous, so we're going to do all that. So you look at line of sight, put the impact marker, determine scatter. Do scatter, that's basically saying if they hit or not. For each of these you roll 6-sided dice, and at a 4 to 6 it will strike the target hex. So I'll do this one first. It doesn't, so that one doesn't. And where it goes then, roll 6-sided to see which side, and it'll go off this side. And then how far it misses is you roll the other dice. It goes 4, so I missed by quite a bit. It's there, and they're nuclear weapons that have, so for a mortar that's long range. For a mortar it does 10 in the center, and it does half that or 5 around, and there's nothing there. But I'll put an impact crater to indicate where it hit. But there is no damage taking it because nothing is around there. Then I'll do these. So that one also misses. 5, and it goes 1, so it goes right over here. And it has a strength of 5 there, so let's see what happens to that guy. So there's 10 in the center and then 5 off to the side. So on the casualty results table, you get on 5, roll a dice, 43, and there's no casualties. Then let's see that one, if that one hits. That one hits. And it has a strength of 10. Let's roll dice. 22. Nope, no damage. This one, that hits as well. Does a strength of 10. 51. They lose one crew. So there's a CPG that had 2, then replace that with a CPG indicating there's only 1 there. Okay, and see if that one hits. That one misses. And then we see where it goes. 3, 1, 2, 3. So it goes right there. So you get an impact there. It has a 5 weapon effectiveness. 66. That means actually 3 were lost. And there's actually only 3 in that squad, so that squad is removed. The unit that gets one or more casualties must check morale. And a unit under nuclear attack must check morale, so both those would apply. We'll do a morale check on this one as well because he received 1 damage. So let's look at the morale table. And 6, so nothing happened. So that's the indirect fire. And then the direct fire phase, this is all simultaneous, so all of these fire simultaneously. We'll just take turns, but these 3 are going to fire at that one. So you see the range. So they're all normal, so they can see 12, so they can all see it. And then you combine their strengths. So it's 6 to 6 lasers. And looking at the weapons effectiveness chart, so laser we're at 11. Actually at a range of 10. So they're in medium range. Medium is 4 to 10. Lasers firing at MBL, which that is a half. 6 times a half is 3. And the CPG has 1 at medium range. A CPG, again, MBL is more effective. It's an 8, so it's 3 plus 8 or 11. These are all combining against that. Battery laser, 45. 2. Since that's a vehicle, you go to the vehicle damage table, and then you go to the column 2, which corresponds to that, and then you roll dice. 66, which is special. So a special hit means there's a chance that it's destroyed. If it wasn't, a special hit, you would consult this table, and then this tells you like how many Ds, how many drives, armors, etc. to take off, and then you would check off, on these boxes, that number of boxes and like Ds or armors, for instance. But so special hit means, and modifiers to achieve that are, it's a nuclear weapon, etc. Given that's a special hit, we roll the dice and do a modifier. Okay, so 5, and then we see, is it an MBR being hit? No. NBC? No. Nuclear weapon? No. Yeah, so the column used was 2, so we add that. We get 5 plus 7, and if it's 12 or greater, the vehicle is blown up. If the result is 11 or less, the firing player will roll again on the next highest column and determine damage. Okay. So now we would roll on the next highest would be the 1. So 7. Okay, so an A and an M. So it's the MBL. We lose an A and an M. So we lose 1 armor and 1 main weapon. So okay. So that was dumb. Just to be easy, I'll just do these first, and then I'll do the Soviets. The command platoon is out of range of seeing anything. He's on ground, and so you can see that guy. I'll try him. 12, no. Then it's just him remaining. He'll go. He's an air unit, so you can see any of them. He'll attack. He'll attack this one. So I can demonstrate. 41, so he's in medium range. It's a laser against a laser. He has 3 in his squad, so he's got 6. Go to the 6th column. You got a 41. Just enough to get one of them. But since he is in a medium hex, he can deduct 10 from that. The 41 becomes a 31, and then he has no damage. So that's how the different colored trains work. So, the Soviets will go. These will attack individual laser units. He's in medium range. That's not enough to hit. Medium range. So he's 8. Yeah, you need a 41. 60, 36 now. 25 now, so they're not lucky. He is long range. 52. He's a CPG. And so he's got 2. CPG to laser in long range is 3, so he has 6. Go to the 6th column. 52 means 2 eliminated. He goes down, and he needs to do a morale check as well. So 6, and that had no effect. And the 2 lasers and the commander can go. They're at long range. 35, no. So the lasers are, one is at medium and one is at long range. See line of sight, he can't, he's in neutral, so he can see over the terrain. If he's in ground, he couldn't see past this terrain. If both these units were in ground, they couldn't see in terrain, but if one is above, like neutral, he can. He'll go after the CPG, and so that's a MBL at medium range, 10. But that's a very low roll, so it doesn't hit him. And MBL, I guess CPG at long range, 10 again. So 43 is 1 damage, and he's removed. If he wasn't removed, he would have had to do a morale check. And that's all the firing, and then let's see. So after the fire, they didn't see if there's a morale, but we did that. And then we would move on. If we were done with the whole turn, we would move the turn marker, but that was that phase, and then the next one would be to do the Americans here. But that was just to demonstrate that part of the turn. So that's Marine 2002 from Yaquinto. It's a very enjoyable game. It's got great artwork on the cover. I like Yaquinto components. It's got a tray. It's got reasonable rules. The counters are really nice. It's some of the best counters around. It's got good play rates. It's a good tactical game with a lot of variation. I definitely recommend it.